Travel along, Catholic pilgrims, as we read letters from the voyages of St. Frances Cabrini as she traveled around the Western Hemisphere sharing the good news of Christ. Hello, Catholic pilgrims. Well, today, Mother and her daughters have entered the port city of Colón, Panama. Now, this is not their final destination, but this is where they will be getting off the boat, moving into a train to go across the land to Panama City, and then get on another boat. It's a longer reading today, but I really think you will enjoy hearing all that Mother Cabrini has to say. She gives great descriptions of the land and the environment, and I would encourage you to just try to imagine her in the late 1800s making her way through a foreign country such as Panama. And you can tell in her writings that she is thrilled with the adventure of it all. In the show notes, I'll link to Colón, Panama, so that you can see what the city looks like. It really is quite beautiful, and once you see it, you're going to be like, well, I want to go there. And anyway, let's start by opening to page 70. Yesterday, 19th. At 7 a.m., we arrived at Colón, a port which has the reputation of being very unhealthy and a place of yellow fever. For us, however, it turned out very pleasant. The air, which for the last few days had become cool, contrary to every law of nature, became still cooler as we arrived in the harbor. So whilst we enjoyed a cool sea breeze, we contemplated for the first time a forest of palms which surrounded the bay and made it a charming sight. The railway was quite near the steamer, but the captain would not allow us to leave the ship until everything was ready for our departure, which was at 1:30 p.m., so we had no difficulty in seeking shelter and food. When the signal was given, he had our luggage put on a rail free of charge, thanks to the kindly thought of the bursar, who also favored us greatly. When we were all in the train, the captain, accompanied by all the officers, came to bid us goodbye and told us to keep well and assured us we would have a pleasant voyage up the Pacific. Even the staff came to say goodbye. One would think we were leaving our own families, but while one was pleased at such an exhibition of kindness, nevertheless, it made one feel sad to leave such genial people, among whom it seemed we could do so much good. God, however, wants us elsewhere, and so after the signal was given for the departure, we find ourselves flying across the Isthmus of Panama, traversing a forest of palms, and then through a country where nature is immense in vegetation. There are immense stretches of coconuts, royal palms, bananas, bread trees, tamarinds, noted for their beautiful tiny leaves, and another tree called in Spanish asquera, from the roots of which a peculiar kind of flower can be extracted. There are thousands of other trees displaying fruits and leaves, which are a source of great wonder. I must say, I really saw this time something new which interested me greatly, for up to now, I only knew of these wonders through the annals of the propagation of the faith. We thought we were in India or in China, especially as the train passed through villages of wooden or thatched huts, inhabited principally by Chinese immigrants and Negroes. The further we go, the happier I feel in being out here. These are real missionary spots. It is true, we have been sent to an uncivilized country, but I hope it will be the stepping stone for a large foundation, from which we may go forth from time to time to bring the knowledge of Christ and his most holy laws in those lands where the missionary has not yet reached. In fact, we see no churches, and if we see anything of the kind, they are only pagodas or Protestant churches. The sight of this spiritual misery filled our hearts with zeal, though for the moment we can do nothing but pray for these, our unfortunate brethren, dwelling in the darkness. As we can do nothing else, we say our rosary and recommend these souls to the Great Mother, who, by the mouth of the Church, says to herself, Quasi palma exaltata sum in Chadis, et quasi plantatio rosae in Jericho. I am exalted like a palm tree in Kadesh, and like a rose plant in Jericho. Let the Blessed Virgin be honored in these countries of palms and flowers, which are an image of her, and may there be a perfect and complete conversion of all these souls. To obtain this, we trust to your prayers, dear daughters. Pray. Pray much without ceasing, and make your prayers efficacious by sacrifice, which you can practice hourly by a perfect observance of the rule which imposes certain acts of self-denial, into which I invite all, for Jesus wishes this of you. But we have been 2 hours and a half crossing the isthmus, and we have not arrived at the city of Panama, situated on the Pacific, which ocean extends in front of us with a calmness worthy of its name. Here the boat awaits us, and we are the first to board it, whilst the person to whom we were recommended by the captain carried our luggage. It was very soon filled with passengers who were going our way, and we were then transferred to the steamer, St. Blaise, which awaited us in the bay, and which could not come close to the shore owing to the large number of shoals to be found there. We went on board 2 hours before dark, expecting to continue our voyage at once, but when we got there, we had to make a day's stay, which eventually turned out to be one of 2 very long days. But even then, our divine Lord remembered his own, because in Panama there is danger of yellow fever, and he thus placed us on the sea to enjoy the sea breeze for 2 days. We would love to run at once to our mission, but our Lord wants us to have 2 days delay. We must take this rest in peace. After 10 days fast from Holy Communion, we had an ardent desire to approach the center of life. Our desire was about to be realized, for now we see a little rowing boat coming towards us, which we hired and in which we rowed to the shore. It was my first experience in a rowing boat, and I assure you, I felt frightened indeed to find myself so close to the waters of the largest ocean, especially as the little craft seemed about to capsize every time a passenger stepped into it. But the object of our trip enlivened my faith, and I encouraged the others to follow. In a few minutes, we were rapidly making our trip of 2 miles to the city of Panama, singing hymns in preparation for Holy Communion. At the sound of our voices, a flight of birds approached and accompanied us to the shore. In the cathedral, we were able to satisfy our desire. Jesus came to live in us, to cooperate with us, to unite himself with us. We went to the bishop's house, but the bishop was absent, and we were received by his secretary. It was about 10 o'clock when we got back to our boat, and as at this time the sea was at low tide, we had to walk half a mile over the long beach in order to get to our boat. We could therefore admire the beautiful stones, many of very fine marble, which the salty sea usually covers. We amused ourselves by gathering shells of all colors and sizes. Then once more we rowed amidst the waves, singing hymns of thanksgiving. Here again the birds hover over us, drawn there either by the hoarseness or sweetness of our voices, to adore and praise their Creator, whom we carried in our hearts as in living tabernacles. Some of the sisters wanted to know what this procession meant, and I replied that they represented the religious of those countries who might enter our institute some day. But one of the sisters was not convinced of my interpretation and answered, "They rather, as the birds were about 1,000 in number, represent the souls that shall be saved by us." I still argued, when another flight of other aquatic birds appeared, 1,000 or more, and eventually we decided that they represented the souls which were to be saved by us in the course of time. Nevertheless, it was a sight I had never beheld before in the 5 voyages I had already made. We arrived on board amid the joyful exclamations of all the passengers who feel for us as if we were of their own. Some of them, for fun, had tried to frighten us, saying we should never reach the shore, especially as we were hidden from view by a shower which fell near the steamer while we were crossing. The shower only threatened us, for we intoned the Ave Maris Stellis, during which the spirits of the air vanished, and we only experienced the rocking of the boat, encouraged at the same time by the realization that our Lord was master of that piece of wood which separated us from the ocean's abyss. Sitting at the stern of the boat, I put my hands into the sea and bathed them, but I withdrew them quickly when I felt one of them being drawn down vigorously. It could not have been one of those sharks 2 meters long, but certainly something of the crab species which, when once it grasped, kept a tight hold. We spent the day in pious readings, interrupted now and then by the arrival of new passengers or fishing boats carrying a quantity of corals for those who cared to buy them. We amused ourselves by watching the little islands which, owing to the ebb and flow of the tide, appeared correspondingly very small or very large. These islands are joined by narrow stretches of land. At low tide we perceived the remnants of a shipwreck, who knows how many years ago. The old vessel is so wedged in the sand that no tide can set it afloat. How many poor creatures may have been victims in the disaster? What feelings of compassion does the thought not awaken in us and move us to pray for the repose of their souls? Wasn't that great? I mean, you've got trains and palm forests and shipwrecks and Mother in a rowboat going to the cathedral so that she can receive Christ in the Eucharist. It's just all very cool to hear about. I really enjoyed hearing about these few days in Panama. Tomorrow they are still waiting to leave on the boat and head up the Pacific, and some of the sisters went to visit nearby islands. Mother Cabrini isn't interested in going, and we will hear about that tomorrow. But until then, live the faith boldly and travel well.